Hi there. Today I'm going to be offering some tips and tools to help you with arranging your nodes. On One Academy, we stress the need for high quality nodes, and it is easy to just focus on the content, things like the title or text. However, how these nodes relate to each other is just as important. The connection between ideas is a valuable resource for a number of reasons, but sometimes it can be difficult to figure out how the nodes you want to create should be connected. Arranging knowledge is something that falls into my area of expertise as a librarian on the project. So I'll give you all a little background on how we make determinations about arrangement and some tools and resources you can use that might help. In One Academy, we use a prerequisite knowledge structure where the previous node or nodes provide the needed information to understand the following node or nodes. The structure is a hierarchical one. Because it can be tricky determining the order nodes should be placed in, I often consider the types of hierarchical relationships used in indexing cross-references. Here are some nodes about hierarchical relationships that I created some time ago. As you can see, there are three types: generic, instance, and whole part relationships. You do not need to memorize these. I just want to share them so you can consider the ways that hierarchical relationships can be determined. An instance hierarchical relationship is typically between a common noun and a proper noun. For example, the Mississippi River is a type of river. In this case, river would be the parent and Mississippi River would be the child. A generic relationship is between a class and its member. For example, a parrot is a type of bird. Bird would be the parent and parrot would be the child. A whole part relationship is between terms where the child is a component or part of the parent. For example, a tire is a part of a car. Car would be the parent and tire would be the child. There is a trick you can use to help figure out if two terms are in either a generic relationship or instance relationship. That is to say, is A between both terms? In either of these types, the narrower term is a broader term. For example, the Colorado River is a river, or a German Shepherd is a dog. Whole part relationships can be more tricky, but a good rule is that if a term is a component of another term or part of a process described in the other term, then they are in a whole part relationship. Applying this method of determining hierarchical relationships to your work on One Academy is not that difficult. Like you have been doing, you get some ideas for nodes from the text and consider how they relate to each other. You can apply what we know about types of hierarchical relationships by inserting is a or is a part of between titles to see if there is any relationship. If these tests make sense, then you can figure out how to arrange the nodes. In this example, the concept in the yellow node is in either a generic or instance relationship with the concept in the blue node, and the concepts in the green nodes are in a whole part relationship with the concept in the yellow node. These are just the basics on applying some methods used in determining hierarchical relationships to One Academy. Sometimes things won't line up quite as clear, and you might need to add nodes that are missing from the map and the text. You might also need to adjust titles to align better, or even add relation nodes to aid in creating categories and structure. Next, I want to briefly demonstrate some tools that can help you arrange nodes. All right, so the first resource you can use are encyclopedias. Encyclopedias are a tertiary source or reference work. And what that means is there's no original research. It's really what you would use when you're beginning a research to get a sort of idea of the things you want to look up and know. So this one is the Desk Encyclopedia of Microbiology. I went ahead and looked at the influenza entry. And so, like most encyclopedias, you have different entries, and then you get a basic description, which will then help you narrow down what you want to look at. For us, though, the way this is useful is it can help us figure out what a parent node should be and what children nodes should be. So this one, finding a parent's a little more difficult. But right at the beginning, we see this article summarizes the disease and pathogenesis of influenza virus infections. Boom, virus. We know that it is a virus. That's not new information for most people, but it works like this even for more tricky things. We can also figure out here that there are three distinct types of influenza. So that's sort of an indicator to us that, oh, we could have a relationship node coming off of this that then goes into the distinct types of influenza. One thing to also look out for in an encyclopedia entry are the headers. These can give us some idea of what some further nodes might be coming off of one. Um, and here we have stuff about epidemic, pandemic, the actual disease. So I'm assuming symptoms, um, and causes. So encyclopedias can help you get the lay of the land of where a concept might fit into a broader range of concepts. The next one we are going to look at are dictionaries. So everybody's probably familiar with a dictionary. These usually just define something, and I wouldn't use these as the primary means of defining a concept. Same with the encyclopedia, though you can use it to augment your definition if it provides new information. But once again, we're looking at this just for language that gives us some idea of how things are linked. And on this one, right out the gate, we see that any one of a group of psychotic disorders. So that tells us delusional disorder is a type of psychotic disorder. And because it's plural, that lets us know that psychotic disorders will probably be a relation node of which there'll be several, including delusional disorder. And there it goes on to different ways of characterizing it. And this might present challenges of, is diagnosis going to be a subsequent child node of delusional disorder? In that case, I think it would. And obviously, the stuff's complicated and it presents its own challenges. But in terms of us trying to figure out if we're making a node for delusional disorder, what its parent should be, we've now determined that it should be psychotic disorder. And what's cool here is let's say there isn't a psychotic disorder. We want to add it and we need to know where it goes. We put a psychotic disorder. And there we, once again, psychotic disorder, any number of several mental disorders. So this tells us once again that we will probably have a parent relation node called mental disorders or severe mental disorders, of which psychotic disorder is one of them. Then we'd probably want to define it, then add a relation node with psychotic disorders, and delusional disorder would then be a child under that. So that's one way you can use a dictionary. Not all of them will be like this. This is pretty nifty that you can kind of just keep going backwards until you can find a connection you're looking for. All right, so the last one I want to share with you are thesauri. And these specifically, we're looking at the ones that are used for databases. So right now I'm looking at the database page on my school's library. This one's the Library and Information Science Source database. And typically when you get to this, you would put in your search term here, hit search, and it would pull articles, books, anything related. But what we're going to do instead of doing that search is we're going to go to the option to interact with the thesaurus that it uses. The thesaurus is essentially a catalog of terms that are arranged in a way to aid the search process. So rather doing our typical search, we're going to go down here, which allows us to search through subject terms in the thesaurus. In this case, we're going to put in abstracting and then hit browse. And this shows us similar terms to what we searched. Abstracting's at the top here. We're going to click on it. And then this shows us what we're looking for. Typically, you'll get a scope note. This isn't a definition like a dictionary. This is more setting a boundary for what information is related to this term and what information is not. But this is what we're looking for here. These are related terms in a hierarchical relationship. Broader terms would be like the parent terms, narrower terms would be like the child terms. And so the way we can use this is if we were making a node about abstracting and we're not sure where it links, we could come to this and look at the broader terms and see content analysis, information organization, and information retrieval as potential parents for abstracting. We can also see the narrower terms, which would be potential children nodes coming off of this. So here it would be abstracting and indexing of medical records, automatic abstracting. With these two dashes, you would want to read this like abstracting and indexing municipal records, abstracting and indexing newspapers. And here we could click on the term, like, so we'll look at one of the parent nodes, information retrieval, and that'll show us a similar thing where once again, we have the scope node, the broader terms for it, the children nodes. Similarly, we could click on one of the child nodes. In this case, there are no narrower terms coming off of it, only broader ones being abstracting and indexing. Finally, we have related terms, which are a different type of relationship that's a little ambiguous. Used for can be helpful for you. Used for basically similar terms that are almost synonymous for abstracting. And the way you could functionally use this on One Academy is if you're looking for a term and you're not finding it, but you think it might be there, you could try these alternate terms. It's also worth considering that these are alternate ways you could essentially write the title for the node. Once again, not as important. The main thing you want to look at are the broader terms and narrower terms to give you some idea of what would be parents and what would be children. Thank you all for listening and have a great day.